experience. Gentlemen, let's move on to a big pressing matter. We as podcasters, we as broadcasters are a part of these footballing conversations. We know a former player who works for another platform, Junior Khanye. We know him as a Kaizer Chiefs player. And he's someone who has a lot of opinions. He's someone who shares quite a lot, right? There was a statement that was released by the South African Football Players Union saying that his comments are unfair towards the players. I'll read a part of it. It says that what Junior Khanye continues to project into the public domain is not analysis, not commentary, and not critique. It's character assassination. It's self-serving. It reeks of bitterness, personal failure, and professional envy. That's what the statement says. So we've seen him oftentimes on social media. He's trended many, many times. Some would say that he's become more famous for being this pundit than he was a former Kaizer Chiefs player. But Jakes, I want to start with you because you've covered South African football for more than 30 years. If there was someone that can speak on authority on this matter, I believe it's you. Your thoughts on pundits criticizing players and becoming too personal, where they're not focusing on the game.
Yeah, listen, I come from the old school. You know, we always say there's two sides to a story. You always give right of reply. You do that. Junior is I remember him as a youngster playing. There was this whole excitement about him. He came just after your Jabu Pules. He was good. He was exciting. I don't think he fulfilled his potential. I think he's a kid who could have done more. Off the field issues derailed him a bit. He turned his life around, got opportunities, came back as an analyst. I remember once I used to have my own podcast thing, YouTube show, and numbers. I was struggling with numbers, you know. And people would say, "No, call Junior to come to your show. Junior gets numbers." And I listened and I watched, and I'm like, "No, where he's going and where I'm going, it's not the same." Junior played the game, so he would analyze it the way he does. What they are saying there, personal, whatever, I don't know. I honestly do not follow Junior that much. I don't follow that, but I think Safpu in a way have a point, and not specifically on Junior, but what I've found lately with all these podcasts is just about every bloody fool can get a phone, a thingy, and just say whatever they want about football, and often even about players. And because there's no governing rules, a lot of people say defamatory things about other people, and they get away with it. Safpu, of course, mentioned a certain, I read that statement. They talk about what he has said about Jaden Adams. What Junior loves to see, he's played the game. So for someone who's played the game, he's able to say, "Oh, but this boy is not good enough for Kaizer Chiefs." And a lot of us, there's this whole, the jersey can be heavy. He said some of those things. Clearly, Safpu don't agree with that. I'm in between here. I like that Junior Khanye says what he feels, what he believes in. But yeah, when there's a thin line. Hey, you don't want to go, as they say. There's analysis and there's attacking the man, and I'm not going to say I've ever heard Junior say that, because like I say, it's not a show I watch a lot. But if they have the proof that he did, they need to see. Junior needs to be, listen, brah, you played the game, especially because he's played the game. Yes. I think he would understand what it is like to one day have an off game, and you don't kill a fellow player that much. So I'll start watching Junior and I'll start listening and I will tell you what I think. But in general, from what I used to hear when I started my own thing and people were like, call this guy, I said, now I hear where he's going, I'm not going there. Safpu are the custodians for the players, and I'm glad that they're standing up for their players, because yes, we say things about players, but as a journalist, as a trained journalist, I know that there's a line you don't cross. And I don't know if Junior
Yeah.
knows that. Junior has played the game and he's going to say, I'm Fanula plays Kak. And because he can say that, but I'm saying, as they say, it has to be analysis, it has to be insight. We expect you to, because you've played, to truly understand what it is.
Yes.
Players play bad and we must tell them they're playing bad. But when it attacks the man, I would also say, let's call Junior to order.
My boy, I want to bring you in on this one, right? We watch that platform quite often. And the tagline that he's known for is trying to fix South African football.
Fighting no one, trying to fit South African football.
You hear what I'm saying? So with his commentary and what we are seeing on screen, are they fixing South African football? Because clearly the Players Union doesn't see that that's the case.
I think the public itself sees that that's not the case. You look at how, when you watch their show often, a lot of people start complaining on social media about how he speaks. A lot of people disagree with the things that he says. And I have a problem with a lot of former players who now assume the responsibility of being analysts. Just because you played the game doesn't mean that you have to be an analyst. It doesn't mean that you know how to analyze the game. Maybe you did well taking orders and instructions on how to play your position, but you can't analyze the game holistically. Right? And now, Junior Khanye played. He was a very good player. I was fortunate enough, although I was young, because I started watching football at a very early age. I saw him play. But I can safely say that he really wasn't the best player the country's ever had. And he presents himself as someone that knows the game better than anyone else that's played the game. So I think that's where the problem is, and that's where the problem lies. Number one, he needs to have respect for current players because they've achieved things that he's dreamed of achieving. Football has elevated so much now. We're at a point where we're at a point now where you look at someone like Relebohile Mofokeng. At 20 years, he's played for Bafana Bafana. At 20 years, he's scored important goals for Bafana Bafana. So when you come and analyze someone like that as a player, as a former player, can there be no emotional attachment to the fact that, no, this guy is playing and I used to play and I didn't reach that level? Then you're gonna be fair. We have the likes of Sean Bartlett, Bongani Kumalo, players who played for Bafana Bafana. When you listen to them they analyze the game, they fair and just, and they hardly criticize players. They hardly disrespect the players. If a player didn't play well, they won't just say that, no, he wasn't supposed to play. No, Kaizer Chiefs is heavy on him. All they will say is that I think Shabalala needs to read the game better. That's good critique when you say that. But when you're going to constantly say that, Umtutuzi Shabalala has played so many games, he needs to start raising his hand. What are you saying to him? When it gets to him, Umtutuzi Shabalala, he's then going to see that because it's social media, they see these things. This guy's a former player who's played here. Why is he talking like that? Why won't you say that, okay, I think Umtutuzi Shabalala needs to improve his game. And here's how he can improve. Because when I used to play, this is what my coach told me. And this is how I improved my game.
So, like I said, I haven't watched that kid. Not a lot anyway. You see little clips and clearly you guys see him. And if that's what he's doing, I agree. Like you mentioned, a lot of these analysts that we see. I think what is happening in this podcast and all, it's almost like they're trying to do what we would do as Majita Biring and just we're chatting,
banter
and all that.
And sometimes it's inappropriate.
You see, but it's us as a group. It's not going out there.
Yes.
But now that's where I'm going with this whole thing. There's no regulation. Understand? Because as like me, there are certain things that I feel, there are certain things that I hear that I want to say. But once I get onto my laptop, I know that I have a responsibility to, as they're saying, fix. If they're saying the tagline is beautiful, fixing South African football, but it sounds like you're not fixing it. It's you're a parent, you're discipline the right way.
Yes.
Don't kill. And if Junior is attacking, as you guys are saying, then come on, Junior son. You played the game, you excited a lot of us, and that's the thing. When a guy who has played the game talks, we listen because he's talking from experience. But if you then, like the way Safpu have said, I mean, you are messing it up, and I think he's at what Idiski. They need to, just look at it
and maybe talk to him.
Yeah. Also give Safpu a hearing. I mean, I saw they said they sat down with him before. And maybe that's why they're now coming out in the public. So clearly, what they've spoken to him about has not changed. And listen, Junior can turn around and say freedom of speech, which is also true.
Yeah.
This is South Africa. He can say whatever, but like as you say, fixing South African football, you're not going to fix it by destroying other people.
Yeah.
So you might even find that your Jadens and all these youngsters admired him when they were younger. It's that whole thing where never meet your heroes, because you see this guy you admire, and then they come and say something and you like, and it changes the whole thing. But I think also what I'm realizing with this whole new media thing is clickbait.
Yes.
So a lot of times people say things just for the sake of numbers. And that's what I'm saying. Somebody called me and said, listen, why don't you have Junior Khanye on your show? Because your numbers will grow. My numbers were like, and I'm like, the angle that I'm taking with my show is this way, and Junior Khanye does not fit this platform, and that's just what.
Can I also just say something? But Junior Khanye have this thing of saying that a lot of professional teams need to understand that when they sign players, they're not just signing the player, they're signing the human being. Right? So, for example, you find that there's a player that has off-the-pitch issues, and then now it's important that coaches, the technical directors understand that, okay, let's deal with this guy like the human being that you are. But now it's weird when he's accused of character assassination, because those are the things that they believe in, that no, deal with the human being first. So why isn't he dealing with the human beings before analyzing the game? Why won't he realize that, okay, cool, this is a fellow human being. I've played the game. I know what it's like to be under pressure. I know what it's like to constantly be on the press for negative things. And that also affected my career, right? It affected his career. So now it's actually disappointing to learn that a former player of his caliber is accused of something like this, right? And we also need to understand one thing, Prachex, what qualifies you as an analyst? Maybe that also needs to be broken down and say, you don't just qualify to be an analyst of the game simply because you played the game. We need to know what qualifies one as an analyst. And also, people choose what they subscribe to and the kind of content that they want to watch. So if people believe in what Junior Khanye says, unfortunately, it's going to keep going, right? But what I'd like to say is we also analyze these players.
We do.
I've spoken about Tito all too often on
Many times.
on the platform. But when I spoke about him, I said, I'm not saying that he's a bad player. I'm just saying that maybe he needs to sit down with the coach and ask, coach, where can I improve? How can I improve my game so I can offer the team more in attack? Because personally, I don't think he offers much in attack. But this is not to say that he's a bad player.
I also think, as Junior has the clout to can pick up a call or even go to a training session and say to a player, listen, Mfanak, I'm watching you.
Yes.
Here's where you can improve, instead of sometimes using that platform, because he has that. He's played. I mean, I think we all, if a former journalist, Pratike, comes to me and say, hey, Jakes, I saw your story like this, Mfanaga, do this, I'll.
Yes.
But if he goes out there, I mean, you're not going to hear him, there's youngsters whose work I've seen that I've called and said, listen, do this, because that's building. That's fixing.
Because to me, I also look at Junior Khanye as like a role model. There's a lot of people that actually look up to him and say, someday I want to wear the Kaizer Chiefs jersey. So he's got that responsibility to then say, if a player is not doing well, how can I be of service to this player instead of breaking them down? But Jakes, you've been in journalism for the last 30 years or more. How can we almost create a rubric or a criteria to say who should be talking about football, to be honest, right? Because to me, even Kermit Erasmus tweeted about it, Michael Morton spoke about it this past week as well, is we have everyone believing that I have the right to my opinion and now I want to share it. Social media then gives us the platform to then send this message out into the world, whether it is right or whether it is wrong. So in broadcasting, we have the BCCSA, the Broadcasting Complaints Commission. Should we create a structure like that to protect players and to almost filter some of the commentary that is negative to players? Because I'm sure no player would appreciate being sworn at every single week when you go to the pitch every weekend to give your best.
No, look, I mean, I'm that guy, regulations, I follow the rules. Of course, I'm going to, when something is wrong, I'm going to say it. The onus is the first step that Safpu took, I think is good. One of the, so here's the challenge. Like you talk about the BCCSA and whatever, they can go with us, they can go to SANEF, the South African National Editors Forum, if they feel, oh, Matsilana Mamabolo's articles are just destroying somebody, and the editors can look and say, okay, but he's within the limits of good journalism or whatever. And I know if you studied, you want. But lately, no one has to study. Like I say, these days, if you have a camera and you have, anybody can say whatever they can. And sadly, it's the world that we live in, that you are not going to stop anybody from comment. I mean, you guys the other day showed me, you call them what? There's some fans who have a show after
I'm a fan's wait.
Yeah, they just go and talk and say whatever, no filter, nothing. It's the world we live in. So I think the challenge is then on clubs per se to say to players, listen, Junior Khanye is going to talk rubbish about you. Just ignore him.
Mentally block it out.
Block it out. It's the only way, because
It's
you
part of
can't
the
control
game.
him. You can't stop him. We don't have the regulation that says, I don't know if, like, say, like here we are now on this platform, can the BCCA come to us and say, don't do this? Don't know. It's a podcast. People do that, do that. So unless, but we are registered as Omni Audio Africa, so
Yes.
we're fine. And I know Idiski are registered. So I think SAFPU, as they did, they have recourse. They can go and sit down with Idiski and say, we feel this way about what Junior is doing. So, and then Idiski sit down with Junior and them, and Junior will tell them, but this is my opinion. And we say, yeah, we respect your opinion. Like they say, let it be insight, let it be this. And then, so like my appeal to Junior, like I say, I don't listen to him. I haven't watched the show, so I'm speaking from, but I know you played the game, you were a star, you excited us, and if you feel some youngster is not picking up his weight, he's not worthy of the jersey, you have the platform, yes, but personally you can talk to them. And I think sometimes, they're human beings. Let's be humane.
I think
As a broadcaster yourself, what do you have to say, my boy?
I think
as someone who shares his passionate opinion.
I think what's also odd about this whole thing is that as a soccer player, the moment you assume the responsibility or the role of being a professional soccer player, you know that you live in days of social media. People are always going to say things about you. It's even worse at the stadium. People will boo you. People will throw things at you. It's part of the game. So it's important to know that, okay, cool, now I'm going pro. People are going to like me and people are going to hate me. People are going to criticize me. People are going to compliment me, right? So all you need to do is just focus on your game. Fuck what Junior Khanye says about you. Just focus on the game. Fuck what I say about you. Just focus on the game. What should matter to you is what the coach tells you, what the technical directors of the team tell you, and what the players during the game tell you. That's all that matters. What we say as fans shouldn't count and it shouldn't matter. Just play the game. We're gonna criticize you. If we lose games, we're gonna come for you. If we win games, we're gonna glorify you. When you play shit, Junior Khanye is gonna say, yeah, I'm funny. But when you play well, he's gonna come back. Because I've seen him come back and say, hey, no, I was one of the few guys. I judged the boy too early.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's part of the game, because I've seen him do that all too often. I remember when the Orlando Pirates coach started, they were judging him.
Yes.
He came back and said that no, sim judge early. He's proving now, So I think also Leana somehow he loves the game, and sometimes he speaks as a fan, and he speaks as a fan. And one might say that, yeah, but you're contradicting yourself. No, the reason I said all those things that I said is because he's a former player. He should know better. Unlike me, I've never played pro. I can say anything that I want to say, And if someone comes at me, I'll use what Brajix just said: freedom of speech. Well, I understand. Sure. But if you've played at a professional level, you should understand that, okay, there are certain things that I can't just say just like that, because it's going to reach the player and it's going to affect him, especially given how his career went as a player. He knows what it was like when he was down and out, people making fun of him. He knows what it's like, So in that regard, sharp, it's disappointing. But players themselves must understand that especially if you want to be as famous as Relebogile Mofokeng is, there are so many expectations of you. You've set the standard and you've set the bar. The moment you don't perform, your supporters are going to come after you. When you perform, they're still going to glorify you. So it's part of the beautiful game that we love, and players shouldn't take these things personal. At the end of the day, football is entertainment. You know, we want to be entertained. Some people, yes, take it personal because they place bets. Some people even bet. I bet 5 million. I
better win.
I better win. You know, so it's part of the game, and also it does make interesting for us to have conversations. You know, it makes it fun sometimes when you see a fan going that, no, these Pirates players, mabahambe, what's like, and then next week this Pirates player plays well, and then the fans come back and say, no, he played well. You know, so that's fans for you,
Muremi
and that's just football for you generally. So Muremi,
Muremi did that
when
to
he
the
started
fans.
first 2 games, a lot of us were like, Muremi. Now that he's scoring goals,
Yes.
people want him to start. You know, it happened when I think it was CBC. No, it was Tapelo Cloak. He just got injured and Mbogazi had to play. When we saw him in the starting lineup, a lot of Orlando Pirates supporters were like, Uba and Manjolo, only for the kid to play well. Now that he's playing well, he can do no wrong in their eyes. Give him 3 or 4 games not performing. The supporters are going to come after him. So players must just understand that it's part of the game and it happens. Journalists too. When you play well, they're going to write about you. The moment you're not playing well, they don't want to write about you. They want to write about the one that's playing well. They forget about you. They're not even calling the club to say, can we interview him? Because now I carry you off form. They want to interview they want to interview the one that's on form. So it comes with the game. And if you're going to be a professional soccer player, these are the things that you need to know that you are going to deal with. Look at how now some people are saying that no, Vincent must be fired from that Bafana management role, technical manager. He must be fired. It's part of the game. I'm saying that Tebogo Mokoena is also to blame. Someone on social media is going to sweat me and say, you're talking shit. Tebogo's a player. Let's blame Janet Otan. You know, Brajex is going to say, no, the whole structure. Like, it's a game of opinions, and they need to understand that sometimes Saf Bulebona mustn't take it too personal. It's just opinions. No one hates the players. I don't think we'll run into Tito and slap him. When you see me in the streets, you still want a picture with him. Even though you said on social media and said that last week he played shit. But when you see him, it's all love. When you see him, it's like, yo, can I have a picture with you? So it's part of the game, and it's something that we need to accept and understand. And as a content creator, as a broadcaster, sometimes people will listen to your show and say, this one is boring. I want to listen to that show. So it's life.
My boy, thank you for your opinion. We appreciate it.
My wisdom.
But we also want to hear from you. What is your opinion? Junior Khanye, he's in a lot of hot water at the moment. Do you believe that his analysis is correct? Do you believe that he's actually talking about the game and not attacking the players? We want you to join the conversation right below in the comment section.